Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast, brought to you by Flexecharge, your gateway to the future of EV charging. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of EV infrastructure, offering insights and perspectives from industry leaders, innovators, and the people at the forefront of deploying charging solutions and networks. Join us to explore the exciting developments that are accelerating our world towards sustainable mobility.
Welcome to episode 6 of the ChargePoint podcast. I'm Chris from Flexecharge, and I'm excited to bring you another round of exclusive conversation with some of the top voices in the EV charging industry. A few weeks ago, our team had the pleasure of attending the ICNC Conference in Berlin, organized by Hubject. Picture this: the historic Tempelhof Airport as the backdrop, where over 5,000 industry professionals gathered for 2 days to discuss and share insights on the most pressing topics shaping the future of electric mobility. During this time, I had the chance to catch up with some of the key players driving the industry forward. I spoke with Manuel Fernandez, a seasoned consultant who's led companies like Tritrium and EVA Global, and Jaap Borger, a senior consultant at the Regulatory Assistance Project, where they help stakeholders make data-driven decisions for sustainable policymaking. I also met with Zutalan Gananes, who brings over a decade of experience in the EV industry and is now managing director at Greenflux, a company that hardly needs an introduction. Later, I sat down with Marco Müller, CEO of Pionix, whose vision is to build the operating system that will run on every EV charger in the world. I then spoke with Ricardo Becker, co-founder of EViesto, a company focused on providing a charge point management system designed for transparency, efficiency, and innovation. Finally, I had an insightful chat with Alex Miropolsky, co-founder of Evercharge, a company that's leveraging AI technology to make charging network availability the new normal. In our conversation, I asked them what they love about the ICNC conference, what hot topics were being discussed, how they see the market evolving over the next 12 months, and most importantly, how they're helping charge point operators succeed in this rapidly changing landscape. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did having them. Hi, Manuel.
Hi.
Thank you for taking time. Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast. So can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Manuel Fernandez, an expert in the industry for 14 years.
Yeah.
So since the very beginning up to today, and then always having fun and helping. Yeah.
Excellent. So you came today to this to ICNC 2024. Did you have any specific expectations in terms of the hot topics?
Yeah, so I have been here since the very start. So I think it's the 12th year I have been. And because this really truly joins the experts within the industry, the players, the providers, the solutions. And I think this is a good combination for people to explore those interactions. And a lot of that is missing, right? The industry is missing sometimes the connection. And so this really brings people together to connect with each other and present new solutions, as also to strengthen some others.
Of course, yeah. So any hot topics that is being discussed so far after the first half day here?
There is a few trying to question, the rollout of infrastructure being a truly difficult and stagnation point. We are not stagnated, but the infrastructure, it's slowing down. Total number, it's bigger, but the split is different, And why? Because grid connections and other interfaces that are making it harder, One for me, very interesting to see is how people approach the new regulation of AFIR, right? How is that being approached? The law or the regulation, it's in place in April.
Yeah, that was in April, yeah.
Yeah, but it's everybody making it happen. Somehow they say, yes, we have here a credit card machine, but the credit card machine doesn't solve it, The user experience behind, how truly I can drive across Europe over my vacations and pay with it. Not always it's too perfect. So there's a lot to do through a truly effective regulation.
Yes. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so now we're standing here September 2024. If you look 6 to 12 months ahead, what are the biggest challenges that you see that the CPOs are facing across the markets that you know well?
I think all the easy places are done. So where there was energy, here, okay, all those are done. So now it's really the deep study of where it's needed. And sometimes, of course, there will be financial questions, does the investment pay back? But the next step, it's the consolidation of two networks across that are not just done by easiness, by, oh, there's a substation, I put a charger, but that's too far from the route.
Yes.
So now I think they are all, the majority of the CPOs are revising their strategy, consolidating their minds,
Yes.
and really focusing where the end customer will be, because that's where it should be. Not just because I can install a charger, I put one. Yes, dots in the map, everybody did.
Yeah.
Today, I think there's a calm down from one side. From the other side, the difficulty of getting permits, grid connections.
Yes.
But definitely a true, more deep study to the location that will make sense for both end customers as for the CPO, because this is a business.
Yeah.
And business needs to be profitable.
Yeah.
If it's not profitable for the CPO, doesn't make sense. And
Exactly.
we need to think about them and not just protect the end customer.
Yeah, interesting. Absolutely. Yeah, profitability. So if we talk about profitability and business case, so how do you see the business case in some country being different than in others?
Yeah.
How do you see the situation for CPOs?
We are here in Germany, so we also need to speak about it, right? So Germany has its special law for charging with energy management, Eichrecht, conformity law, right? That is important. We truthful should know what we are delivering. From the other side, can be limiting compared to other business cases of other places. People see the per minute, because the occupation also has an issue, right? If you occupy and don't charge, you don't have minutes, right? Of course, the law is transforming, and I see, we should look to the end customer, protect his values, protect his needs, and not allow stupid things, but also the investors need to have a successful business case. And for that, we also need to understand this is a business for someone, and we shouldn't lock their business too much by just selling kilowatts or by just selling this or that. So I think it's important for the governments, for the authorities also to understand, private investment is coming and they will have their own business cases, and we need to allow them to do their different business cases. One by parking, one by charging, one by minute, one by extra services. That is, go to my food court and buy food, and then free charging. So I think it's important to sometimes allow, these new business cases to also come into and become valid solutions, and not just try to strangle into minutes or kilowatts that in some regions, in some countries, have locked partial success.
So is it when regulation goes a bit maybe too far and hinders business development further on the supply side?
Lobbies might enter into place, right?
Yeah.
It's not just Europe. South America has other lobbies.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcohol versus charging.
Yes.
So each country will have their lobbies. I think we need to be careful on allowing lobbies to enter in politics, to enter into solutions.
Absolutely.
I think freedom of business cases is extremely important, and I think protect the end customer from truthful service that is being provided, but being that service energy complemented with other complemented by energy. Sometimes it's that, you have, rent a meeting room in the highway. In the Netherlands, it's quite common that people stop in the hotels along the highway to make meetings. Why not rent a meeting room with charging on the door? That can be a business case.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be minutes. It's the meeting room.
Yes.
So just on top of my head, an example.
Absolutely, yeah. Good point. Manuel, I have to ask you this question that I also asked Wolf Schlachter some weeks ago in our podcast, because I know that you have really interesting insights, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So where do you see the current CPS market right now, and how do you see it evolve in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah.
Very good one.
Very good question.
Yes, it's a deep one.
Yeah. I try to look to the business case, and the different business cases that exist today with the CPOs, they might have different needs. So for a solution to be able to succeed, not just with one, but with multiple, needs to be open. Sometimes through APIs, sometimes by own development, and sometimes a mixture. The CPOs themselves have some such specific needs that the better would be that they develop that portion connected through an API to an existing, right? So the systems definitely need to have the API openness to connect to different, and then typically they are looking for support. They know the concept, but they might not have the tech, right? So when you don't have the tech on your own side as a solution developer, as a software as a solution developer, you should not just say, I have the API to connect to the other. No, you should guide them, because they miss that consultancy. So I think it's a mixture of there's consultancy and advisory into the growth of the CPOs. Even large ones still need consultancy, and because they go to another border, and it's another out of the 27 countries, and that's different.
Yes.
You know, and then they might be experts in 5 countries, but not on the 7th.
Exactly.
So I think to truly be able to dominate or to grow a platform that can truly expand and not just stay focused, and that's no problem, you know, you can stay strong in certain countries. Good. If you want to expand, you need to be open for that, you know, connect with the systems, study the environments, you know, be able to, if not provide, understand who can be the possible partners to connect on the other environment to truly offer a more turnkey solution as the customers want.
The CPOs,
Now, there's also CPOs specializing themselves, and it always made sense since the beginning. You know, the initial ones had to by default. There was not expertise, so they had to have their own people. I think a combination of both. A CPO should have a few goods to then handle the subcontractors, right? Because you need to understand your business, you need to hear your customers. Sometimes you should pick a call from a customer and understand why he's keep complaining. For you to understand what is not going well with your network, that might be by the junction of 2 subcontracted stuff that you just bought in.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, as a CPO, an advice would be you should have your own team of experts and then choose well the platforms behind, being one, being multiple.
Yeah.
You know, that is fundamental.
Excellent, excellent. So, and to conclude, so how do you see, how important are EMS or home energy management system? How do you see that unfolding?
I see one of the most critical. You know, sometimes people don't imagine that 350 kilowatt can be a 16-store building, all in a car. Don't, you know, we need to go for, you know, that we are giving all this building into a car.
Yeah.
Now you understand the complexity.
The density.
You know, safety is there, and that's a big question. People are afraid. No, safety is definitely there, but the managing of this amount of powers it's critical. You know, and because it's instant. You know, it's a half an hour and what to do. So that complemented with battery management systems, you know, power boosting systems, you know, that will be making the ecosystem. The ecosystem is not just you there. It's you, maybe the production surround you, the solar park nearby, or the factory that is the rooftop.
Absolutely.
You know, on Sunday, nobody's working that factory. So let's take that energy into a car that is in a shopping mall where it's more busy. You know, all the surrounding, you know, shopping malls have industry surrounding. All that energy goes to shopping mall, supermarket. The peak time of them, it's weekend. The low time of them, it's weekend.
You're right.
So that connection, I think it's the not the missing link because it starts to happen, but the next link for a total ecosystem to work properly. And that's, you know, afraid the grid doesn't. No, the grid is there. We just need it to connect sometimes these dots for them to function.
Absolutely, yeah. And certainly, you're in a good place with the Netherlands to experience these kind of things, and it's going to be super exciting. Yeah.
Everybody has a rooftop, and those rooftops, when not used for the factory, should use for the better purpose.
Yeah, and it can't be true that we're just going to forbid people to charge between 4 and 9 p.m. Right?
Doesn't make sense. You know, that's too much cultural. You know, we can say do that.
Yeah, it's too basic, too simple. Okay, thanks a lot, Manuel. Pleasure.
My pleasure.
As always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jaap. Good to see you. Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast.
Thank
you for taking the time. So you want to introduce yourself briefly to our audience?
Yep. So my name is Jaap Burger. I work in smart EV charging. So that's my main focus, and looking at it from a regulatory perspective, innovation, policy. So I work for an NGO called Regulatory Assistance Project. So we assist policymakers at the European level, national level, in helping to understand sort of how electric vehicles can contribute to the power system by providing flexibility. And so my main focus is always looking at so what do we need in place to enable that? So that can be tariffs, that can be technology, that can be services, that can be ways to engage with users. So maybe marketing, nudging, interacting, and obviously the role of regulation in that.
Great. Excellent. So it's not the first time you're at ICNC, so tell us a bit about your experience at this conference.
Yeah, I think I only missed the first one, and since then I've been a regular visitor here because it has been and still is sort of like the place to be to just meet the EV community at a more down-to-earth level. So it's obviously the official program might still be sort of like people talking about their products, but actually on the ground you get to meet and talk to people about the real challenges they face, the questions they have, like how is this going to move forward, what's happening in country X, what's happening in the Netherlands, what's the situation in Germany, how is Scandinavia different from Spain in terms of EV charging developments and markets, and this is just the place to be able to meet so many people in such a short amount of time.
Great. So for those who are listening and who haven't been to ICNC, you know that you should be there next year. Great. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We have an audience composed of CPOs, among others. And from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges you see in the next 6 to 12 months for them to develop their business?
Yeah, I think one of the main challenges that is really emerging, and in some countries it already emerged, is being able to be flexible with charging demand. And ChargePoint operates obviously by face challenges connecting new chargers to the grid. So for new chargers, they have to find a solution to be flexible with charging demand. Otherwise, they cannot connect new chargers. That's the situation in the Netherlands, actually, if you want to install new EV charge point. For the existing field, and that's also something that is needed and will be needed. So CPOs need to adapt to a model where they are able to manage the energy flow. So it's not just about sort of like being able to serve charging and being able to serve the transactions and do the financial settlement, but it's also being able to interact ultimately with EV drivers and flexibility and being able to shift charging to other times. So that's about nudging, that's about sort of managing charging flows.
Yeah. And do you see some regions that are faster than others, and CPOs in some regions that are moving a bit ahead of the others, or that are first movers in this area?
Yeah. Well, especially if you look at the topic of pass-through of energy market prices, spot market prices, you see in Scandinavia, you see multiple CPOs already implementing that, which is also for them de-risking their operations by just passing through those prices. I think the struggle for many CPOs in the Netherlands is to sort of solve this problem. So they have large fleets of existing charging infrastructure, not all of them fully up to date with the latest technical standards, but they have the big challenge of responding to the request of DSOs that actually are now saying, well, let's just curtail charging in the evening hours because there's no more capacity on the grid.
Crazy.
So they need to find a solution for that, and obviously they need to find a solution, well, from my perspective, which is user-friendly.
Of course, exactly, yeah. So can you maybe, as a last point, can you maybe allude at some future upcoming regulations that are going to be quite important for the future of this industry? I mean, maybe just what are we allowed to talk about, of course, but I'm just curious, what's on your roadmap, so to speak, in regulatory frame?
So I would say from the European perspective, we have the alternative fuels infrastructure regulation that came into force this year. What will happen? There will be sort of technical annexes that are currently placeholders, but it's defining the technical standards for communication between a charge point management system and backends and the charge point, between the charge point and the EV, the electric vehicle.
Yes.
So all these technical standards will be put in place. So that's also something that CPOs need to keep an eye on, that this is going to happen. I think in the next phase, what is going to happen is sort of the smart charging, which is in our here, which says all new charge points need to be capable of smart charging.
Yes.
How to turn those capabilities is something that is on the ground and is being delivered to the grid and to drivers. So how to, well, in Dutch we have to say, to give something hands and feet.
Yes.
So we have the idea, smart charging, but how to make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And do you and how do we ensure that regulatory frames are not only or mostly taking the side of the consumer, which is important to protect, but also having an eye on the business that's professional wants to make. If they're not profitable, they're not going to develop a business.
Yeah.
How do you balance this, or how do you see that?
Well, I don't see them as being opposed, because I think the main purpose of those regulations is also to simplify and standardize, and that way it's of reducing costs for CPOs, reducing friction, improving basically the efficiency of operations, but also taking away the energy fluctuation risks from the CPO is, I think, also an important step, and help CPOs moving towards a more mature business model. And I think that's also shifting away some of the value that is now being hidden also from CPOs. It's being kept at the energy supplier level, but you could move it more towards the CPO level, and then there's, for the CPO and the driver, there's a shared benefit of ultimately negotiating the ultimate charging schedule.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, shared benefits sounds beautiful. Everybody should agree on that for sure. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, well, thank you very much for dropping by the podcast, and have a great conference until tomorrow. Thank you.
Likewise.
Hi, Sutalan. Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast. Thank you for taking the time to meet today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Would you like to introduce yourself, please, to
Yes,
the
sure.
audiences?
Sutalan Gnanes. I'm a managing director of Greenflux since 3 years. Joined Greenflux in 2021 after the acquisition by DKV Mobility, and before that I was building up the e-mobility proposition of DKV.
Exciting. So is it your first time at ICNC?
No, it's the sixth time. I joined ICNC the very first time in 2018.
Okay. And how have you seen ICNC evolve over time?
It's a great event. It's a great conference. It was 2018 smaller. It was at the riverside of the Spree. Then became bigger. We moved to Euref campus, and this year it's even, I think it's 5,000 registered attendees for 2024, and now it's here at a very great location of Tempelhof Airport.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me, what's cooking here? What are the topics that people are talking about, and what is Greenflux also bringing to ICNC this year?
A part of the very tasty smoothies which Greenflux is bringing to the ICNC. We also have a very strong team with us of roaming managers, product managers, solution sales, and also our field sales colleagues. And I think the very most important part of ICNC is that the amount of people, it's so many people, so many knowledgeable people discussing about all the hot topics. And I think first and foremost, it's building on the relationships, to see them again. And every 12 months, okay, today I'm going to meet one of my customers, one of my partners, one of the suppliers, and all the others. It's a great event to network and to build the relationship, but as said, also share actual market developments and trends and where to go here.
Great, yeah. So those who are not here this year, they've taken note. They should come next year. So tell me, very exciting market, the CPMS market. We really following that very closely. So how do you position Greenflux on the CPMS market, which is booming, right?
The CPMS market is indeed booming, but also because of the entire e-mobility market it's a market of hypergrowth. And Greenflux is now in the market for over 10 years. We have established ourselves as a leading CPMS provider with our SaaS solution for CPOs, but also for EMSPs, and now also being part of the DKV Mobility Group. We are a stable company. We have a great vision in terms of our product and where we want to play.
Yeah. So where do you want to play? If I look at the market with competitors, maybe of yours, like a Monta, Onpeco, is there a bulk of a part of the CPMS market which is really ambitious players like you that are trying to be the one-stop shop for your customers? How do you see the evolution?
So what we are not going to do is we are not a CPO or EMSP ourselves present in the market. We are not entering hardware business or field services. And what we are also not doing is, let's say, features like CRM features or ERP features. We are fully focusing on being a software as a service provider for CPOs and EMSPs with all the features which they need, and that's where we are developing and where we are focusing on.
Yeah. And so if you look in the crystal ball of the market you're in, and intense competitions, booming market growth, but still a lot of entrants, how do you see the market? Do you foresee some consolidation or some bankruptcies, or how do you see the CPMS players evolving?
Yes. Let me put it like this. The e-mobility market is now, I would say, not more in the phase of we are just started or in the baby phase. I think the e-mobility market, we are now in an age where we are starting to walk, and market consolidation is happening. You see bankruptcies, you see companies struggling, you see companies consolidating, merging together, and you see quite a lot of acquisitions, where mobility service providers, especially and utilities, energy companies are entering the market by making decisions if they want to make or buy a CPMS backend, and that's why you see quite a lot of M&A activities in the market.
Exactly. Absolutely, yeah. So now to a very interesting question to finish about partnerships within the ecosystem. So how does Greenflux approach and see partnerships with other vendors to serve the customers? And maybe you can illustrate with a few names.
As said, Greenflux is fully focusing on being a CPMS. Therefore, we need partnerships, and we have very strong partnerships for our connectivity, for our data comms, for our help desk services, for our support services. As already mentioned, we are working fully on our CPMS. We are working with APIs to fulfill the needs of our clients. And because of that, we are also in very regular exchange with CRM providers, ERP providers, help desk providers, etc.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for taking the time, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Hi, Marco.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you for taking the time to join me to discuss on the ChargePoint podcast. So here at ICNC Berlin, can you maybe introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, happy to. I'm Marco. I'm CEO and co-founder of Peonics. We are an EV charger firmware vendor, I could say. So we're taking care of the operating system in the charge points from AC to DC, from home wall boxes to supercharger parks. And we are also the inventor of the open source project Everest. So basically the same story, but all open source, and created a huge global community all around that.
Exciting. So what's your journey before starting Peonics? Just to get a bit of background, I'm curious.
We had been founders before. We had a drone company, sold that 2016 to Intel, had been a bit in the drone space. Also back then we did everything ourselves, software, hardware. And then at Intel, suddenly the industry changed. There was something like the Android for drones coming, and everyone who was not fast enough flipping to that new reality got pushed out of the market, as Intel was. So that was an interesting experience. Like basically Intel was going the way of Nokia, got pushed out. And we saw that after leaving Intel, we did a bit of consultant in different industries. We also helped the small German charge point maker to build its first AC wall box. And realized, oh damn it, this is all again over and over Me Too engineering. Like there's nothing new here. And to 99%, this is just all commodity. We thought like, wait a minute, this was the same in drones. What will happen next? We'll get open source. So if we realized that early on, we could be the beneficiary of this and can push that and can make this transition happen. That's what we do since 2020.
Exciting. So who's participating or who's benefiting most from the Everest project? How do you see that? Is it?
I mean, end of the day, if you look on, if you want to build a charging station, you have to comply with a huge amount of standards, OCPP, different generations and amendments, ISO 15118, plug-in charge, and then if you go to the energy management, there's even more, and there's always something new. But at the same time, all of that is commodity. Would you buy a charging station without OCPP? Probably not.
No.
So it's commodity. You get penalties from your customers if you don't have it. But if you have it, come on, it's boring, right? Everyone has it.
Yes.
But still, 90% of the software resources going into this boring commodity, and everyone is reinventing that shit. So everyone who is doing that and feeling that journey, they benefit because we take care of that. And there's, let's say, the free approach, just taking it from the open source community, then it comes without warranty. Honestly, there's, I think, we're now with 300-400 active engineers who contributed already to Everest, more than 50 organizations like big companies, even governments like the US government sponsored a team, Accenture, contributing code to Everest. So it's this is really strong already. And if you then as a company say like, yeah, come on, but I have no time and I need help, then we can help as Pionics. That's then our journey to do this, let's say, upselling, and open source comes without warranty. If you need warranty, we take care of it.
Exciting, yeah. Real activist. So
that's also, I believe in this vision. Activists would be, it's all pro bono. No, I think you can make a decent business model out of that.
Right.
So we have venture capitalists quite a bit who believe in what we do, because there's also big potential if you do that right. The same side, I can tell everyone from the industry, there's little downside for you to go with us, because you always have the open source. There's no risk involved for you.
Interesting, absolutely, yeah. So if you take a segment like CPOs, do you see that they could benefit? How could they benefit from what you guys are working on?
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, CPOs are customers from our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So if we enable our customers to make better product, it helps the CPOs. If they are getting more uptime out of it, if they're better, easier to maintain. But I think besides better better products, if all of those charging stations come with the same software fundament, that enables the CPOs to add things on top, to do their own energy management, and do it in a way that it works with different suppliers. So it would allow CPOs to customize the hardware experience, or not only on an app, but really on the charger itself. I mean, at the moment, yes, you can then maybe design 5 HTML screens, but if you want to do your own energy management integration, your own integration with whatever, if you have corporate customers, fleet customers, any other detail, let's say, modification to what's happening on the charge poles, then at the moment you're locked out, or you really, really deeply lock in yourself with one hardware vendor. So in a way, what we do is we decouple that. So we enable CPOs to customize hardware without locking in on one vendor. It's a bit like with your Android phone. You can write an app, not only for Samsung, but for Google, for LG, for every one of them.
Super interesting, yeah. And what are you expecting more from ICNC this year?
So this ICNC was the first time when we had this tech village. So Hubject asked us if we want to help them to create that. So if you see that, there's a lot of more tech discussions, tech stage, tech exchange tables happening than the years before. And so making the ICNC way more techy. And I think if I see the first day, it's now over, I think we really achieved that. And that was fun. And bring the techies back in here. And beside that, to be honest, ICNC is something like a school reunion. You're meeting all the people from the last years, the previous years again. And it's not about so much making new deals, maybe a bit, but also take care of the relationships.
And have fun.
Have fun, brainstorming new ideas, push them over the line. This is what's happening
exactly.
here. And this is happening, and this is totally fun.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah, really well formulated. Thanks a lot, Marco.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon. Thank you.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you for taking time to be on the ChargePoint podcast today.
No problem.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Of course. Yeah, I'm Ricardo. I'm one of the co-founders of Ivesto. And Ivesto offers a white label CPMS system to multiple customers all over the world, to CPOs, ranging from the US up until New Zealand. So we are globally spanning. And we started a company 4 years ago. Me and my other co-founders, Sebastian and Tom. We worked for Allego together, but there was a large reorganization, and we started this company during COVID. So it was an excellent era to start a new business.
Good timing, yeah, good
Yes,
timing. I
good
think
timing.
it was probably the same for Flexecharge.
Yeah.
So is it the first time you're at ICNC?
No, it's the second or third time, but at least second time. This is a different venue this year. So last year there was a lot of rain, lots of logistical troubles. So they decided to move it to this old airport. It's a really nice venue. Brings back memories from old days, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice place, and nice to see everybody back again.
And what's cooking? What are the conversations that are going? What do you see?
Well, there's a lot of stuff cooking actually. You see a lot of OEMs showcasing their new hardware, which is interesting to see. I really love to see the new cars, right? Like the yellow Lotus, which is a dream car, right?
Yeah, totally.
But mostly we talk to a lot of potential customers, but also to partners to integrate with and have a real additional services on top of our platform.
Really interesting. So yeah, that brings me to the question about Ivesto. So how would you qualify? What kind of CPMS are you? What's your philosophy or your vision?
We started this business to say, okay, hey, we really want to enable the electricity transition from old school fossil fuels to electricity. They say it needs to be a low profile, low key, but also cost effective CPMS system, white label. We just focus core on the CPO process, so we don't build our own EMS, we don't build our own invoicing, billing systems. We just say, okay, we want to support the CPO processes only, roaming, operations, operational excellence. We go for scalability, reliability, which is one of the main talking points of this event. And then we just add partners and integrate with them with our open API.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you illustrate with a concrete partnership? I heard about a recent...
For example, Evercharge is one of them, right? Which is like a spin-off from Eon. It's cooking something from Eon. And they have this really AI-based solution that goes on top of CPMS systems. They take the data from us and then they analyze it and detect anomalies, for example, or they see when the charger goes offline irregularly, or it sees that normally you have, let's say, 5 sessions a day. And now all of a sudden there are some days where there are no sessions. Is something wrong with this charger? Is it does it have hardware issues or software issues? So there's a range of services they are offering on top of our CPMS to be able to restart a charger, for example, if they detect something is wrong.
Yeah.
So there's really additional services that we can offer easily. We integrate with them via an API. They integrate with us via an API, and we can really make the CPMS a better system and help the CPO to have a better uptime of the charges.
Okay, so the CPO that is interested can get access from one solution or the other.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what Evercharge does. They reside on top of CPMS systems, and we just easily integrate with them, and then the magic happens.
Yeah, well, that's so. And do you believe is that maybe a good future for CPOs that won't have the freedom to build their tech stack?
Yeah, because in the end, for the CPO, it's the way to differentiate for them is to build their own business solutions. And we really think that the CPMS should be like the foundation, and then leave it up to the CPO to stack their own solutions or to build their own solutions to make them more competitive to others.
Exciting. Good vision. Thank you very much, Ricardo.
No problem.
All right, and on to the next guest here at ICNC, Alexander Miropolsky. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi, Christoph. So, thanks for having me. And yeah, my name is Alex. I'm in the industry of e-mobility for over 10 years now. And currently, I'm taking care of all sales and marketing activities at Evercharge.
Excellent. So, is it your first time here at the ICNC?
It was actually my fourth time, but the first time at that new exciting location, and I think we are all impressed of what Hubject has been building up here in Berlin. So I think not the first time, but the first time being so impressed about the location.
Great, yeah, and it's keep on growing now. 5,000 registered attendees. So what is so great about ICNC, if you were to put it?
I think the core idea is really good because the core idea of that the entire industry comes together once a year, and irrespective of being competitors in some areas, people get together, have exchanges, and also speak openly about the challenges we have, because in the end it's all about reaching a target and getting people to drive electric in a more sustainable way. And I think that is great about the ICNC and also the people I see here around, because I see e-mobility pioneers from the very first hours here, and they have absolutely no reservations at all, because they're simply standing together, discussing things, and I think that is great about ICNC.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. You feel that, this industry coming together to progress, and there are so many challenges that we cannot just compete against each other. Yeah, definitely we are working together. That's absolutely the great spirit. So, I know you've been also part of the program with EverCharge, so maybe you can talk also about that. But what has been some of the hottest topics here at ICNC that you'd like to share here with our audience?
Yeah, so the headline was or is End Charger Angst, and that reflects a bit where we stand in our maturity cycle of the industry. And I think the technology we all know is there in general, but now it's about to make charging as boring as we can make it. And that was a quote from Adam Woolway, the founder of Plug Surfing, and I think it hits quite good the point where we need to act now. And this is also what we as an industry are aware of, I think. We phrased it in our masterclass that the charging networks are growing, and with great networks comes great responsibility, what we took from Spider-Man. But it is really what it is all about, because we mean that the availability of chargers, which lead then to the charger angst, there we need to make improvements, and that is the only way how that charger angst can go away.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Any other hot topics you heard talking about, or you could hear on people's lips during those 2 days?
Yeah, I think on the one hand there are the next steps in hardware, which we saw, which is exciting, but on the other hand it's all about also data and data availability and the meaning of data, because many of us build their business models on top of having data at the fingertips, and I think that was also a feeling I had, an impression that everybody is aware that that is like the oxygen for our business, that we need to have them in our reach, and that is true for the CPOs, that is true for all other partners, and I think we all get aware that we need there to have a closer look how to improve maybe, and how to get more of that in the end, for the sake of our business models, but also for the sake of the driver who has the better result in the end.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more on this topic, which is going to only get hotter. Absolutely, I foresee in the next 12 months. So maybe come back a bit to EverCharge. So can you expand a little bit on how you're working with this reliability and maintenance prediction? Just tell us a bit more about EverCharge.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, we are helping CPOs to increase availability of their chargers and cut costs of operations. And we do this by offering an AI software, which is like, let's say, an energy drink for the current software landscape of the CPO. So it's not replacing the main charge point management system, but it is rather like an add-on, which is deliberately built for operations. And we do mainly 3 jobs with our solution. We have quite powerful machine learning analytics, so you can really get behind the meaning of data. And the second thing is predictive maintenance. So the thing is, you can see things up to 1 week in advance happening at the charger before it fails. So you have plenty of time to have a look, to maybe send somebody out and solve the issue before the EV driver knows about it. And the third job is automation, and that is quite an important part, because the charging network is growing and growing for every CPO, and that means that also the effort in the operations teams are growing. And we would like to take away some of the tasks that simply is not maybe meant to be done by humans, but maybe a machine can do it. And the experts in the team can take care about the really important parts where no machine can do it. And that's why automation is such an important part for us.
Absolutely, yeah. This is how AI is supposed to work, yeah. Helping to take care of the bulk and let the humans take the really complex for now. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, excellent, exciting vision, and it was really nice to meet you here at ICNC, and I look forward to keep in touch with you. And enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll be in touch again. Take care, Alex.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And that wraps up today's episode. Wow, what an intense and insightful series of conversations. A huge thank you to Manuel, Jaap, Marco, Zutalan, Ricardo and Alex for taking the time to chat and share their valuable insights and perspective. If you missed this year's ICNC, hopefully you now have a better sense of what went down and why you absolutely should plan to attend next year. The focus on reliability really underscored how important it is for everyone in the industry to collaborate more closely, even when they are in competition. Because at the end of the day, it's all about delivering a seamless charging experience for the end users for the industry to be successful. And as the need for collaboration grows, so does the need to set data free. If I had to make a prediction, I'd say that this will be one of the headline topics at next year's ICNC. As always, if you have any suggestions for future guests from the EV charging or energy sectors, feel free to drop us an email at hello@flexicharge.com. Until our next episode, take care, drive safely.